Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. It's your favorite time of the week.
That's right.
It is our favorite time of the week. It's time for the show.
It's time for the show. It's the Lord's Day.
It's true.
This particular Lord's Day is Easter, so that's crazy if you celebrate that. Happy Easter. This is about to be an episode filled with a bunch of ungodly fucking news. It's been a bad week, everybody.
In the year of our Lord, 2022, we're still talking about anti-abortion bills this episode. We're still talking about gun violence and policing.
We're still talking about police being just absolute pieces of shit.
Heroes.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Saviors of our streets.
That's right.
Keeping crime down, obviously.
Doing so much to stop people from fair hopping.
Well, you know they've been defunded after all.
It's true. What can they do?
Exactly. Before we get into the episode, though. Got to go tell you, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/headintheofficepod.
That's right.
You get early episodes.
Ooh.
You'd be listening to this on the Lord's Day rather than on Wednesday.
That's right. Every Sunday, every day when you're taking your rest on the Sabbath.
On your weekend Sabbath.
That's right. You could be in there with us.
You could be listening to Head in the Office because there's nothing more godly than what we have to
in
say.
In your ears the whole time.
Also, make sure to check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We have a Discord now. That's in the description.
Check out the Discord. It's popping off. It's actually very fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's very fun, and people are talking all the time. It's a nice little community. I'm liking what we got going on.
I think we got lots of plans for it. We'll do lots of events through Discord, I think.
For sure.
But make sure to check us out everywhere else, too. It's just Head in the Office.
Naturally.
On all of our social medias.
Instagram,
we post a lot
Twitter.
on TikTok. So check us out. Check us out. Take a look. And also, I'm going to remind you, if you want to help out the show, you know, in a very easy way, a way that you haven't done yet.
One of the easiest ways.
Yeah, we're getting lots of new listeners. Welcome, by the way, if you're new here.
Yeah.
Stick around. Even if you're conservative, stick around.
Exactly.
We may be able to convince you, you know.
Hopefully, we may be able to pull you over here.
Exactly. But if you want to help out the show in some substantive way that is very easy for you, you can head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Even if you listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever, you can go to Apple, you can go to iTunes, and leave a review for us.
Can make an account.
5-star review.
Ooh.
And then we'll read it on the pod, just like we're about to right now.
Facts.
So we got one 5-star review today. It is subject line, very thankful for these guys, by Elfra Surfrass.
Wrong holiday, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, not very in theme. But,
I know.
You should have known that we were about to record on Sunday and read yours on whatever. Anyway, Elsa says, it's so refreshing to hear intelligent leftist political commentary from other people my age. You guys never fail to entertain me while also keeping it educational. You're the highlight of my week. I currently live in Missouri, unfortunately.
Oof.
Yeah, and you're about to hear about more unfortunate news similar to Missouri this episode. But I'm moving back to Sweden in a couple months. Good for you.
Hey, yo. That's
you.
quite the dichotomy right there. Highs and lows.
I'm very thankful that I found this podcast way back when, because now I have a fun way to keep up with American politics after I've moved.
Let's go.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
I've always wondered if people from other countries listen to us to hear about like American news.
Yeah, facts.
Because American news is usually awful all the time.
That's true. That's true.
I've always wondered what like how American politics is perceived from other nations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually, it's with disdain.
Oh, for sure. Usually, the rest of the world looks on us with disgust.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, exactly.
You know the common British meme right now. Well, at least. Anyways, moving on to our news coverage.
Exactly. We'll start off light this week.
Yeah, we
gotta progressively get worse.
We gotta follow up on a news story from last week. So if you listen to last week's, you'll be familiar. Yeah. But if you haven't, I encourage you to check that episode out. But also, we gotta talk about Elon Musk.
So true. Trigger warning, Elon Musk.
Trigger warning, Elon Musk. So last week we talked about how Elon Musk bought a 9.2% share in Twitter and was offered a seat on the board of directors. Since then, he denied that offer. So he doesn't want a seat on the board of directors. And then, right after that, he promptly offered to buy Twitter for $43 billion.
Wow.
Which is about $52 a share. Or no, it's actually, it comes out to $54.20 because, you know, he's a child.
Exactly.
$54.20 a share. And then the board, right after they heard this news, made moves to make it so he couldn't buy all of Twitter because, you know, if they did, they wouldn't have their position on the board anymore. Yeah, naturally. So they came up with this kind of like, from what's being called from what I can tell is being called a poison pill plan, which I don't really know what it means because I think corporate boards are literal hellholes that I don't want to ever learn about.
It's complicated, but they've something that'll like tank the shares to like tank his percentage of ownership in the company, lose him a bunch of money that would only lose them a little bit of money,
right?
And you know, just kind of fuck him over, which I support.
Yeah, it's like a fail-safe plan if he tries to buy more than like 15% of the shares or something like that. So that's really interesting. I really love the free market and how it works.
Exactly. I also love how this whole fiasco has kind of just exposed why companies are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
One, he can just buy his way out of the board to do whatever he wants on the so-called public circle. And 2, he could just buy his way like into owning a significant percent of the company and then sell all those shares and completely tank it.
Yeah.
If he wants to. Because that's what would happen if he just did a sell-off. Like, he could sell all his shares right now, and the company would fucking tank.
Yeah.
Just because he wanted to.
Yeah, like, if Twitter is the town square, and it is the forum, or one of the most important forums for free speech, how can you compartmentalize that with the idea that it's privately owned? Like, I don't understand. Like, I would be against any individual trying to buy all of Twitter. And just all the right wingers support Elon because they know that he'll let people say the N-word on Twitter.
No, literally. And didn't he want to buy it and take it off the market so it's not publicly traded anymore? Because it's a private company. He wanted to further privatize it.
He wanted it to go private so that he could just have like direct control over everything that happens on Twitter.
He could just do whatever. There's no board of directors.
Which just means it turns into Parler. And by the way, Parler also is notorious for banning all of like the left-wing people that would get onto the app. Like they're enormous for censorship. It's just the only difference is that for the right wing, it would be someone that is, I don't know, agreeable to their agenda that would be in power, censoring people rather than like who they consider to be leftist, but who's literally just people that set up the terms of service.
Who they consider to be ontologically evil, and therefore all actions against them are justified.
Exactly. But I want to take this opportunity to note again that Elon Musk doing this, not a good move for free speech in general.
Never.
Not that Twitter is a good forum for free speech anyway.
It's not.
There's serious problems with big tech. Like it's an oligopoly. It's bad.
Trust busted.
But it will not be made better by Elon Musk taking control of Twitter.
Oh God, no! That dude fucking sucks. He's so bad. He's horrible. All his fanboys have just been up and amok about this too in every Instagram comment section. I saw he replied to somebody and he said, "Actually, well, the board has fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to make them the most money, and this is the move that's going to make them the most money." Yeah, but then they wouldn't be shareholders anymore.
Yeah.
I just hate it so much. If the stock market is supposed to be this, if the market in of itself is supposed to be this infallible thing, why can some billionaire come, inject a shit ton of money into it just to fuck around and do whatever he wants? It's so easily manipulated. Yeah. Yet we hold it to such a high regard.
And only he can do that.
Yeah.
No other, like no private citizen, no one that's like average working class person can just take control of what he considers to be free speech like that. So how is it free in any way?
Exactly.
It's a luxury to be bought at this point. It's not something that everyone enjoys. A right is supposed to be universal, not controlled by a few individuals.
If he actually cared about this, he would want to, I don't know, fund efforts to trust bust big tech. Could do all these other things.
Could you imagine if it was like George Soros trying to buy Twitter? They would lose their fucking mind.
It'd be so anti-Semitic. Oh my God.
Like all of the Nazis would come out of their corners that they're hiding in, and they would just bombard George Soros trying to buy it.
Nick Fuentes would be going crazy right now.
They would absolutely lose their mind. New World Order, globalism shit.
Yeah.
But it's Elon Musk, so they're fine with it because they know that he'll do things like unban Trump and suppress union activists.
Because he's just like Tony Stark.
Exactly.
But the bad one.
He's just like Tony Stark.
Yeah, he's just like Tony Stark before Iron Man 1.
Yeah. But I'll just remind you, Elon Musk is like literally just a massive fraud. Everything he does is a failure. Everything he does sucks. Cybertruck was awful. Hyperloop is like absolutely terrible. It didn't work.
I love when he fails to deliver on almost everything except for like things that SpaceX does.
Well, and that's the thing is like all the things that like he is given credit for are things his engineers accomplishes. He's just the marketing guy. He's just a fucking businessman.
He's the figurehead.
And the only reason he's so profitable is because due to his proximity to like renewable energy, he's able to soak up a bunch of money in government subsidies.
Yeah, like
that's it.
Guys, privatizing NASA, that's not good.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with that. Just fund NASA. We have an institution right there that can do it.
He also role plays as like this pro science guy. Like I really support science, but he's literally a COVID denier. Like do you remember back during the beginning of the pandemic? Like he was so mad about the lockdowns and mask regulations and all the hysteria, adequate hysteria around COVID-19 because he wanted to keep his fucking shops open, and then he moved to Texas.
Exactly.
Like he was a literal COVID denier, yet people still treat him like he's some super smart genius guy.
I'm pretty sure he tweeted something the other day that was like, well, I believe in science, and that's why.
Yeah. He also called himself a socialist one time. He said he's a real socialist, unlike Marx, because he focuses on like wanting to improve or like, I don't know, contribute the most good to the world or something like that.
Bro, that's just like when Beto called Abbott a socialist.
Yeah. Like he's just saying like I'm a real socialist because I want to do good things for people. It's
exactly.
Like all right, dog.
Yeah, like, good things like indentured servitude on Mars.
Way
good
to
things like plantation conditions in the Tesla factories.
Way to just water down every term that you find interesting.
Literally,
like you're just saying things.
Good things like causing immense suffering to monkeys with Neuralink.
Literally. Great things like just animal cruelty.
I love it. I love it so much. But guys, he tweets cat girl pictures on Twitter.
He tweets memes and he says 420, and that's funny.
So true.
It's so true. Yeah, he's also violently crushes unions, like repeatedly, annually, every single year. It's just some more news about him crushing a union he's trying to form.
That one SpaceX ship in his profile picture looks like a pee-pee. So
so true.
He's really funny.
That's so cool. So if anyone tries to tell you that he cares about free speech or democracy, just hit him with like, all right, why doesn't he support labor unions?
Yeah.
Because if you supported democracy, you would support labor unions, at least in concept. Like you can criticize unions and say some of them are corrupt. Historically, some have been. But at the very least, you would want workers to have control over their workplace. That is democracy.
Why would we not want to democratize the workplace more?
Exactly. But I do want to bring up some of the conservative response to this really quickly because I thought it was really funny. So there's this one guy, right? His name's Vernon Jones. He's a guy running. He's running for Congress in Georgia. I think the House. And this is what he said when this news broke.
Yeah.
He said, quote, he was on Twitter. He was saying, quote, breaking. Elon Musk just made a $43 billion offer to buy 100% of Twitter. This is how we take down big tech. Elon is quickly becoming my favorite African American. That's so funny.
Is Vernon Jones black?
He's a black guy, yeah. Which makes it even funnier. Elon Musk is my favorite African American.
That's right, guys. He can say it. He was born in South Africa.
This is how we take down big tech by some other fucking billionaire who doesn't care about any person in this country just taking control of one of the biggest media companies in the nation, in the world.
We take down big tech by being big tech.
Exactly. No, that's what this means.
That's right. I love it. I love it so
much. We
much.
take down big tech by us being the ones who get to censor other people. Yeah. That's how we take it down. And then, of course, there's the classic rhetoric. I think there's a tweet from Dinesh D'Souza, Gage's favorite.
Oh, I fucking hate that guy so much.
I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something about Elon Musk saving free speech in the country and rebuilding civilization or some, insane, dramatic, romanticized shit.
No, literally, Dinesh D'Souza is the most dramatic. I feel like he's one of the most dramatic people on the right.
Oh, yeah.
At least, on Twitter. Because the stuff he tweets is actually insane. It is the most pseudo-intellectual, pedantic bullshit I have ever read anytime one of his tweets come up. And then he goes and retweets his own tweet.
Go outside. Go outside.
Do something.
Oh my God. It really speaks to how, I don't know, submissive conservatives are that they see some super wealthy person going in to buy Twitter and they're like, oh my God, our savior. He's coming to save us. He's coming to fix everything. Imagine some, I don't know, you identify some problem and then you coalesce behind someone who has infinitely more power than anybody else in your ideology circle.
Well, it's to them, if they can go and they can just crumble themselves up so they can fit inside the treads of the boot, at least they'll be warm. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's exactly
They are warm inside the crevices that the treads of the boot make.
They just put the entire boot into their mouth.
Exactly.
They are just cooking it up for dinner every single meal they're eating.
Ooh, it's you remember that one book we had to read in elementary school about the mouse who lived in a boot or some shit?
It's familiar.
You know what I mean?
The house is the boot?
Yeah, the house is the boot. Is it evoking images in your head? You know what I'm talking about generally? I hope everyone else is getting where I'm going. Conservative propaganda right there, baby.
Exactly. Live in the boot.
Ever since elementary school, they're trying to get us to live in the boot. It's ridiculous.
Hey, man, it's warm there.
It's warm in there.
Eat the poor. There's more of them.
Exactly.
There's more poor people to eat. There's not that many rich people.
Why would you eat the rich guys? There's less to go around.
Exactly. Anyway, if you hear any news supporting Elon Musk buying Twitter, you should reject that. And also, you shouldn't support anyone just buying free speech.
Exactly.
It's bad. That's not democracy.
Facts. All the people on Instagram saying, well, actually, the shareholders are doing a bad thing because they're not taking the most money. Don't fuck with them.
True.
Don't fuck with them.
True. They're dumb. They don't know anything. We do, though. Stay with head in the office. Anyway, I think it's time to move on to another episode of what I like to call the GOP hates women.
There's been a lot of those.
It's like the 1000th episode here on the pod.
Oh, God.
And you know what we're talking about today, boys? boys, gals, and everyone in between. We're talking about the GOP's assault on bodily autonomy. And we're talking about more anti-abortion bills, this time in 2 states.
In 2 states. Not one, but 2. Exactly. This one's a twofer.
We got a double
call
whammy.
This one the 2-for-1 Easter special.
Exactly. It's double trouble.
Double trouble.
So last week, the governor of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt, signed Senate Bill 612 into law. Okay. And the bill was passed late last year in Oklahoma state legislature, but was just recently signed into law after it formally went through all of its processes. You may be asking, what does the bill do?
Yeah, what does it do, Jeremy?
You're bringing it up. Why is it important? Why is it important? So functionally, this is an outright ban on abortions at any point in pregnancy.
Wow, there's been a lot of those recently.
Yeah, exactly. So
any point? Not
point.
Even like 2 weeks.
Well, that's the thing is they pulled a Texas. They pulled a
16
Texas
weeks.
Here. No, they didn't. Not even like with the weeks thing, but they pulled a Texas in that quote, anyone convicted of performing an abortion can face up to 10 years in prison.
What?
And a fine of $100,000.
What?
Yeah.
Everybody saw it. I say it every week, it seems like, but everybody saw Texas and just keeps wanting to one-up them.
No, Oklahoma saw the Texas numbers and said, we got to pump those up tenfold.
No, yeah. Wow, because Texas is what, a $10,000 fine?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and Oklahoma also has another bill that's either passed already or is going to pass soon that would deputize citizens to sue anyone.
I love that.
That provides an abortion. So another bounty hunting bill.
The 3 fucking people that live in Oklahoma. God damn, bro.
But there is one exception for the law where you can get an abortion and not be sued for it. And that is, quote, or that is when a woman's life is in danger due to a medical emergency, which is defined as, quote, a condition which cannot be remedied by the delivery of a child in which an abortion is necessary to preserve the life of a pregnant woman whose life is endangered by physical disorder, physical illness, or physical injury, including a life-endangering physical condition caused by or arising from the pregnancy itself. So
okay.
So that's one carve out.
I guess it's a little bit better than God. Where was that? Was that Missouri?
The ectopic,
the ectopic pregnancy shit. Was that Missouri?
Yeah, that was Missouri.
Yeah, fucking awful. There,
ectopic pregnancy. Either you die or you go to jail. Pick one. That's what it was. Either you have to face a 2% chance of dying, or you get to go to jail. Like, which do you want?
Oh, you guys, come on.
But yeah, that's basically the Oklahoma bill. It's set to go into effect in August. Okay. So it's not on the books yet.
Yeah, convenient timing. August.
Yeah, exactly. And it's clearly in violation of Roe v. Wade. Like very obviously in violation of Roe v. Wade. But my prediction here is that states are doing this purposefully for one of 2 reasons. Okay? I'm going to give you some quick political analysis, some legislative analysis.
All right, let's get it. Let's hear it. You heard it here first.
The first reason is that GOP legislatures could be trying to intentionally pass abortion restriction bills so that they can get a challenge to Roe v. Wade in front of the court. Because they know that this is unconstitutional.
The Missouri or the Mississippi bill is in front of the court right now, and it's set to be a decision is coming out in August.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's why August has been the timing, because there is a law in front of the Supreme Court right now that's being challenged. It's either Missouri or Mississippi.
Because the Texas bill didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
It got to the Supreme Court. They were, from the appellate court, the people that were suing were trying to get them to put an injunction and stop the bill. You know what I mean? But the Supreme Court just said, we're not going to we don't want to hear it.
They said, no, thank you.
Get it out of here. Which meant that the bill goes into effect, basically.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually do a hearing on it. But what the GOP is trying to do is rush as much legislation to the court as possible because they know it's favorable to them right now.
Oh, absolutely. That's why all these bills, well, except for the Kentucky one that we'll talk about in a little bit, are set in effect in August, because I believe it's mid-August the Supreme Court is set to weigh on a decision that directly challenges Roe v. Wade. So
yeah,
it's going to be an interesting year, folks.
Yeah, and that was the second point I was going to bring up, is that they could also be doing it just so they have laws ready to go, so that they can trigger as soon as Roe v. Wade is basically eliminated. Because right now, bills like this can't go into effect. It's against the for as much as conservatives talk about loving the Constitution, they sure don't give a fuck about the Constitution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They clearly do not care about the powers outlined in the Constitution for the Supreme Court if they're going to pass bills that are directly opposed to what the Supreme Court has said.
And speaking of laws designed to trigger when or if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, there are currently 13 states right now on the books that have laws that will totally outright ban abortion, just pretty much under any circumstance that they want to, if Roe v. Wade is overturned. And those states are Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, this is a ginormous assault on bodily autonomy. It's actually crazy. Like, I know that we've covered it a lot, we've talked about it a lot, but it's so sinister.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually kind of insane. And I'll also say, Michigan has a law that will get triggered if Roe v. Wade is overturned also.
Wow.
It's not, I don't think it's an outright ban, but it is some kind of punishment for people who perform abortions.
Yeah.
Which functionally leads to a ban.
And didn't you say, that's a lot of like what the Kentucky thing is we're going to talk about. Didn't you say that it's like from the 70s?
It's from the 30s.
The
1931.
30s. Wow.
It's a 1931 Michigan law.
I love that we still have those on the books.
I know. I mean, it was overturned with Roe v. Wade. No one ever thought it was going to matter again. And then, 50-some years later, we got to deal with it again. I just love how conservatives are constantly pulling us backwards.
I know. Like, literally pulling us back to the 30s here.
Literally just trying to slow progress. Not only slow progress, but undo progress.
Pretty soon the vote's going to go away.
Yeah. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Maybe poll taxes should be a thing. Maybe literacy tests should be a thing. Maybe only property owners should be able to vote.
But hear me out. If your grandfather couldn't vote, why should you be able to?
Right, exactly.
Like, come on, hear me out here.
Like, I mean, if your grandfather wasn't able to vote, how are you going to know how to vote?
Yeah,
no one would have taught you.
You need your father to be able to teach you because he's a man.
And if you have grandkids, you weren't able to vote, so I don't think they should be able to vote either.
Exactly, guys. It's really hard to go in there and fill out who you like.
Exactly. That's really logical. Anyway, back to abortion here.
Yeah.
I want to make it a very important note. This is only happening in Republican-led states.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there is not a single state with a Democratic governor that has a majority or at least enough votes to not let a veto override go through. Mm-hmm. That is not happening. These kinds of laws are not passing in those states. You're not seeing an anti-abortion bill pass in California.
No.
You're not even seeing it pass in Michigan because we have a Democratic governor here.
Although we have a conservative legislature, so...
I don't think they have enough to overturn a veto, though.
I don't either.
So I don't think they can really do anything. But you're only seeing this happen in states where Republicans are the dominant party. Like, it is a Republican-led, conservative-led attack on women's rights. That's all it is.
It's insane. And then you have states like, oh God, what was it? Texas, I believe we talked about like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that are trying to ban women from being able to travel to another state to get an abortion.
Yeah.
Fucking insane.
I'll also note as kind of like a side effect for this Oklahoma bill. Oklahoma, for those of you that may not know, like, the geography of the United States.
I was about to say, where is Oklahoma?
Right north of Texas. It is bordering Texas,
right.
Which means that if, you're in Texas right now and that law is in effect, SB 8, the bill that made it so you can bounty hunt on people that provide abortions. If you can't get an abortion in the state of Texas, you now cannot go to Oklahoma starting in August to get an abortion, which means every woman, specifically poor and disadvantaged woman that needs an abortion that is living in North Texas is just fucked. Like, that's all it is.
With gas right now, too?
Exactly.
Insane.
You can't travel to Oklahoma. You can't travel across state lines to go and get an abortion. There's nothing you can do.
What are you supposed to do? Especially, like, if you live in the deep South, what the fuck are you going to do when all of them are going to have abortion laws on the books come fucking summer?
Yeah.
Insane.
And I mean, in these states, specifically bordering Texas, because you know how that goes with red states and stuff. But in a lot of red states already, there's so few abortion providers. Like, I know we'll talk about Kentucky, but the Kentucky bill basically made it impossible for that one abortion provider to exist anymore. It's gone.
Sorry, 2 abortion providers. 2. Thank you very much. There's one clinic that does just abortions. They're fucking done now. They aren't doing anything. Yeah. And then there's a Planned Parenthood, which does other things other than abortions, but they are no longer able to provide abortion services.
Right. So, like, I mean, really, for a poor woman, or even just for a regular working class woman who makes like an average salary, what is the difference between having an abortion clinic that you can't reach and there not being one at all?
Oh, yeah, no, literally.
There's no difference.
And it's like the other fuck thing about just Kentucky in general is that the only 2 abortion clinics are both in Louisville.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, if you live outside of Louisville, you got to go travel again.
Exactly.
It's kind of fucked.
And most people don't have time for that because of their work schedule, because of how expensive gas is, because they got to take care of their kids. Like, whatever it is. Like, functionally, it's becoming extremely inaccessible, and soon it's just going to be a fucking crime.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah, literally. In some states, it is a fucking crime.
Yeah,
so.
Literally. But I think before we get into the more like theoretical stuff, you want to go over the Kentucky bill real quick?
Yeah, let me get into the Kentucky bill. So Kentucky passed House Bill 3, which effectively bans abortions, effective immediately, because they put an emergency clause in there that allowed them to just say, this is what's good right now, today. So it literally bans abortion after 15 weeks. It makes it harder for minors to have access to abortions by increasing the standard for a judge to sign off on the procedure without a parent's consent, which I think is fucking stupid anyway, because why should your parent be able to tell you what you can do with your body with something so high stakes as this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My first thought with this is like the party that talks about grooming all the time is now opening the doors for kids to just give birth to groomers' children.
Literally,
like that's exactly what it is.
Speaking of that, just piggybacking off of that, if you will, there's no fucking clause in here that carves out an exception for rape or incest.
Oh my
so now,
God.
if you have a child who's been raped by, say, their parent, their relative, or whatever, if a judge wanted to, they could require parental consent from that person to be able to abort the child.
Jesus
what
Christ.
what if the fucking poor little girl just gets put in front of a uber conservative judge?
Yeah.
A fucking constitutionalist, Christian nationalist judge. And it's just fucked over. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that's not all the bill does, by the way. It also requires an in-person exam in order to get an abortion pill. And it makes it so that you can't get the pill over the mail anymore.
Oh my God, bro.
The abortion pill accounts for nearly half of all U.S. abortions. That's a lot. That's cutting off access to a lot of things right there, especially not being able to get it over the mail.
And you take that pill like so early on.
Oh yeah, it's early first trimester shit right there.
Like doesn't it just results in like a heavy flow period. Like that's it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty
like,
sure it's just spotting or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but it's such a simple thing to do that makes it very accessible for a lot of people and ensures the personal health of a lot of people. That bills like this, I mean, there's only negative outcomes.
Yeah.
Like it's only suffering that you're causing with this kind of legislation. That's how you know the GOP doesn't care about women in any kind of way.
Exactly. No, they fucking hate women. Honestly, they literally want to just kill women and keep them poor.
Literally.
Like, I'm sorry, but if you look at bills like what's going on in Missouri, and if you look at every other fucking red state, basically at this point, they either want to explicitly kill women with ectopic pregnancies or they want to keep them poor.
No, yeah, like there's, and you may be saying like, you know, if you're like a moderate listening to this, hypothetically, you may be saying like, well, you know, that's a large leap between, you know, Republicans think that fetuses are people and they want to protect unborn babies because they think it's murder, to Republicans literally hate women, but that's the downstream effect.
Exactly.
Like it's not a slippery slope argument to say that Republicans trying to outright ban abortion or prevent anybody from getting an abortion or make it incredibly hard to get an abortion, it's not outlandish to say that that is going to disproportionately hurt poor women and is literally going to kill people. Because we have data on this. We know what happened before Roe v. Wade. We know how bad abortion bans are for people. And to say that it's going to hurt women and disadvantage poor women, specifically women of color, is not something that is out of the realm of possibility.
Oh no, not at all. And if you wanted to say that these were good, or if these were good faith like bills, you know what I mean? Like say someone really was like, they really had convictions about this. There is no additional funding for the foster care system.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing to actually help people outside of the womb. That's why you hear so many people say that they are they're pro-birth, not pro-life.
Yeah.
Because they functionally are. They don't give a shit what happens to you when you're outside of the womb. None of this is good faith. It's all bullshit.
Oh yeah.
It's absolutely all bullshit.
They don't care what happens to the kid after they're born, if they have to go through the foster care system. They don't care if the kid is malnourished as they go through school.
Yeah.
They don't care if as soon as the kid gets out of school they can't find a good job and they have to take on thousands of dollars in debt just to get an education. They don't care if that kid struggles to survive later on in life when Social Security has dried up and they can't make ends meet for their family and put food on the table. They don't care about children at all.
They will
just want to
actively
control
advocate to fucking cut SNAP benefits. They will call you a welfare queen for needing SNAP benefits, for needing food stamps, for needing anything to help you. It's ridiculous. They create so many of the problems that they complain about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They love to talk about crime. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. It's a whole nother tangent. But anyway, back to the Kentucky bill. So if you are able to recognize you're pregnant before the 15 weeks, because outright banned after that point, and you want to get an abortion, the restrictions the bill places on abortion providers have caused the only two clinics to just not do it again. That's some women's clinic in Louisville and the Planned Parenthood, like we already said. So basically, the law requires a new expansive bureaucracy to be made that monitors and tracks the details of all abortions in the state and the names of all the doctors who perform any of these abortions.
Wow. Small government.
Yeah.
Though.
However, absolutely no money was provided to create this new system.
Yeah, naturally.
They said, just do it. Figure it out. Figure it out yourself. You can do whatever you want, right? But that's not all, folks. It also requires that all fetal remains to be cremated or buried through a licensed funeral establishment, which would add a shit ton of money to the procedure. You gotta bury it?
you gotta hold a funeral. You gotta do a ceremony. You gotta have people come sing Christian biblical songs.
No, literally, it's so fucking stupid. There are people who don't even want to bury their regular fucking family member. You know what I mean? Who don't even want to have a funeral for like people like you know what I'm getting at.
My guy, funerals are for the living, like not for the dead. They don't care anymore.
It's absolutely fucking reason they said it needs to have a respectful like demise or whatever. It can't just be I think the lead sponsor on the bill said you can't just throw it out with other medical waste. Dog.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Dog.
That's so goofy. Like, I mean, if you look at any culture throughout all of history, funerals are for living people.
Exactly.
Like, they're for the grieving to better cope with the life that they have lost. It's not for the dead person.
And they're different for everybody.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
In cultures around the place. Some people, like, it says cremation or burial. That shit is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
This is such an undue hardship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And notably, it does not make an exception for miscarriages.
Oh, of course not.
So it's about to just doubly traumatize any mother who has to go through a miscarriage for no fault of their own, for nothing, absolutely nothing. It's a bad bill, people.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Sorry.
It's bad piece of legislation. You can quote us on that.
It's like, yeah, you can quote me on that, guys.
You can clip us. You can clip us. No, it's not even out of it's a bad bill.
It's like each of these bills needs to have their own thing. So they can just all at the expense of women in their state. You know what I mean?
They're all just trying to one up each other with how awful they can be.
Like they want their own thing. Like Kentucky's thing is very clearly the fetal remains bill. You know what I mean? Texas's thing is bounty hunters. Missouri's thing is killing women.
Yeah. Ectopic pregnancies that aren't viable anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my fucking God. That is so crazy. That's so crazy.
I love it.
So I guess that wraps it up.
That wraps up the Kentucky bill.
I want to get into before we head out. You know what I mean? Before we head out from the abortion bills.
True.
I want to make an important point that we've made a lot, but we've got some new listeners, so I'm okay with making it again.
Exactly. You know, as we continue to grow, which we fuck with.
It is the curse of being a leftist that we got to repeat ourselves over and over. But I'm okay with it. But the point I want to make is that banning abortions, if you look at any kind of statistical measure that has to do with banning abortions, it doesn't stop abortions from happening.
They're going to happen anyway.
It makes them more dangerous, and it means that only rich women can get them.
Yep.
That's all it does, which, again, disproportionately hurts low-income women, which are going to be a majority women of color.
Which is going to keep them low income.
Yep.
Breed more kids who are more statistically likely to be low income. It's a crazy issue, you know?
And I'm gonna offer the same 4 policy solutions that you can implement that I've offered these before.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna offer the same 4 policy solutions that you can implement if you actually want to lower abortion rates, because just banning abortions doesn't do that.
Yeah.
The first thing you can do, better sex education.
That's right.
We've talked about this many, many times. If kids or teenagers or whatever are better able to understand their bodies, they're less likely to engage in reckless behavior, which means they're less likely to get accidentally pregnant. And if they live in a Republican state, they're less likely to be forced to go through with that pregnancy.
Oh, yeah. Also has the added benefit of decreasing child molestations.
Yes.
Because, you know, abstinence-only sex ed doesn't work, and it only hurts people.
Yeah, for the party that always talks about grooming, which, by the way, is fucking out of nowhere.
They tell you that sex ed is grooming. These little kids don't need to know about sex. Yeah, you don't need to teach them about fucking dildos and butt plugs and anal beads and shit. You know what I mean? but you do need to teach them the basics of, hey, an adult should not be touching you here.
No, yeah, and we're not just making this up. There's statistical evidence that when you teach children about sex education and grooming specifically, like what to look for when someone's trying to interact with them in that way, rates for grooming go down because kids are able to recognize it, and they're able to more easily accuse their groomer of doing what they are doing, because kids are like, wait a minute, I learned about this, I know exactly what's going on, I'm not I'm about to tell on this person.
Exactly.
Would you rather a child get groomed as a young kid, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever, and only realize what happened when they're 20? Is that what you want? That's what Republicans want.
Nothing can be done about it.
Yeah,
it's fucking insane.
Exactly. But I'll also add just a little aside on this whole narrative around the left wants to groom your children.
Yeah,
it's it came out of fucking nowhere.
I know.
Like 2 months ago, all you started hearing about, not even like a month ago, all you started hearing about almost in unison, like they planned it. Every conservative pundit, every conservative political commentator just started talking about grooming out of fucking nowhere.
Absolutely clear projection.
It's like the Cato Institute just planned it, like they just planned critical race theory and all the outrage around that. You don't hear about critical race theory anymore. Nobody cares about critical race theory anymore because it wasn't a real crisis. They made it up. Just like they're making up this grooming thing. If you teach kids about sex ed, if you teach kids about how their bodies work and what indicators to look for when it comes to grooming, they will be safer. It is not grooming to teach kids about trans people in their existence. It's not grooming to teach people about gay people in their existence. It's not grooming to teach kids what sex is. And what's grooming is preventing them from being able to understand their own bodies and preventing them from being able to identify when grooming is actually happening. You are encouraging grooming at that point.
Absolutely. And conservatives like the piece of shit that is Ron DeSantis love to say that it should be the parents' choice to decide when these conversations come up. Parents are not adequately trained to talk about these things with their kids. Parents often do not know what's best for their fucking kids. You should leave this shit to professionals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you oh my God.
And I feel like I don't know the statistics on this, but I'd probably bet that it's probable that when grooming happens, it's most of the time someone that's close to the family or just a family member.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Like, so how are you going to rely on family members or parents to teach your kids this when, you know, what if you have an ultra conservative family that doesn't ever want to talk to you about sex?
Yeah.
So the kid just never learned. And in places like Florida or Texas or other Republican states, these kids will just never learn how to understand what's happening with their bodies or what other people are trying to do to them.
They codify that and they tell you that that's right when that's wrong because newsflash, a lot of fucking parents abuse their children.
Yes.
It's a wild world we live in. I know.
Yeah. God. And it's I just don't understand where this narrative came from because like there's grooming that happens all over the place. It's a bad thing that happens. Yeah. It's a horrible reality that we have to live with. And honestly, I don't think it's I don't know. It's more common on one side of the political spectrum versus the other. I'm sure it happens all over the place. I mean, you see evidence of, you know, Republican and Democratic lawmakers getting caught for pedophilia all the fucking time. But my point is that there's clearly one party that is against teaching children how to understand grooming, and that is the Republican Party. And if you want kids to be safer and you don't want kids to be groomed by adults, then you need to support them learning about sex ed and also just learning about other people in general so that they're able to catch on to those indicators. Yeah. And if you don't do that, then you're literally just fucking evil. No, dog.
Conservatives love to just lie. They love rhetorical drift. They love taking words that are like charged, you know, that make people feel something and tell them that it actually means this thing and that's why the Democrats are bad. They do it with socialism literally all the time. They do it with Marx, anything associated with the left, like the real left, and they're doing it with grooming right now. It's ridiculous. They love rhetorical drift.
Unironically, they're making it easier for groomers to get away with what they want to do. Not only because they're not teaching kids, not only because they don't want to teach kids about sex education, but also because they are diluting all meaning out of the word. So when someone actually gets accused of grooming, nobody's going to fucking know what they did.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to know if they mean what Republicans are talking about, which is like saying trans people exist, or if it's actual grooming of a child. Yeah. They're taking all meaning out of the word and making it easier for groomers to get away with what they're doing, almost as if they want to protect people like Matt Gaetz or some shit. Like, that's all it fucking is. Yeah. They don't care about grooming. They don't care about children. All they want to do is go backwards. And they are afraid of trans people. They're afraid of gay people because it pushes back against heteronormativity and the society that they want to create, which is one that is exclusionary and one that is crushing for minority groups. That's all it is. God. You gotta hate minority groups, people. You gotta hate minority groups. That's what they want you to believe.
Exactly.
They're just destroying the country. Anyways, back to my 4 points.
Yeah, back to our 4-point plan.
So if you actually want to lower abortion rates, teach sex ed. That's the first one.
Teach sex ed.
Second one, provide free, like universally available contraceptives.
Let's go.
Because if the simple truth is that if you're able to have contraceptives, pregnancy is just not going to happen.
That's another thing that conservatives fucking hate too, is handing out condoms in sex ed classes. Yeah. Every time it happens, they get their panties in a twist about it. And they're always like, you're encouraging these kids to have sex. They're going to fuck anyway. they fuck like absolute rabbits, dog.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, is that in the United States, you know, if you're a listener from abroad, you don't live in the United States, we teach abstinence only sex education.
At least we did for a long time.
Don't we still?
I think like at least at our high school, it was kind of like half and half. You know what I mean? They were moving away from it. Yeah, I remember we like freshman year. Okay. I remember Mr. whatever the fuck his name was, the gym teacher one that was teaching health. I remember he was like, yeah, we used to do abstinence only. We're not doing it anymore because it doesn't really work. But it was still kind of abstinence only.
Yeah.
Like it was woefully insufficient to say the least. Most sex ed is woefully insufficient. And it's usually abstinence only.
Yeah, I would say probably in the majority of schools, if not like the super majority of schools throughout the country, it is abstinence only sex education.
Oh yeah, probably everywhere down south.
Which doesn't work because humans are literally built to have sex. Like they're gonna do it, especially like young people, like getting into their teens, becoming adults over time. Like it's gonna happen. And if you don't provide one, a good sex education, and two, free contraceptives, people are gonna get pregnant, which is gonna result in people not being able to have children and having to have abortions. Yeah. Unless conservatives are going to start making the argument that like philosophically like in another reality that kid would have been born, then you need to just provide free contraceptives.
No, literally.
Which honestly I could see them making that argument. Like Democrats want to provide free contraceptives, which means that baby will never be conceived, which means that's murder.
Exactly.
Like they're going to start saying that.
The Democrats want you to jerk off, and that is murder.
No, honestly, I mean, I could see them going that way at some point.
Some of them do.
Anyway, point number 3.
Okay.
Fund Planned Parenthood, because it's actually a pretty good organization that offers a lot more than just abortions. They offer a lot of options for you, even like adoption, foster care, or literally anything else. It's not just abortion. Abortion is one of the options.
Yeah.
But it is Planned Parenthood. It's in
I was going to say, Planned Parenthood is much more than planning to not be a parent.
Yes.
You know?
It's in the name.
Yeah, it's simple as that.
It's in the name.
Simple as.
And, you know, if conservatives are serious about lowering abortion rates, maybe, like, stop harassing Planned Parenthood workers because they're trying their best. Like, they didn't do anything to you. Abortions don't happen at Planned Parenthoods, people.
While we're on the topic of, like, anti-abortion protesters, they are some of the most annoying people on the fucking planet. Oh my, every single college football game, at least at MSU, they were always outside the stadium. I remember there was this one time where this group of like 3 of them just had signs that had a picture of a fetus cut in half with like blood and shit everywhere. It is the worst. They are awful.
I remember my freshman year of college, I was just walking to class at like, it was probably like 9:30 in the morning. And it was cold. It was like February. Yeah. And I'm walking across, we have this like lake on campus. I'm walking across the bridge, and at the other side of the bridge is just like a Megatron screen.
Oh, God.
It's like a ginormous screen that you would see at like, I don't know, some outdoor event. And it just had fetuses, dead fetuses.
They love that imagery.
There was like 8 people outside with like petitions. They had cameras strapped to their chest.
Cameras?
And they were just debating students on campus.
Oh, like, no. They were doing the Crowder?
They were basically doing the Crowder. And, you know, naturally I went up and I was like, you know, you support abortion, bodily autonomy, all that kind of stuff.
Kids.
At one point, dude literally told me that killing children, like killing fetuses, is worse than like black people being enslaved. So
what?
That was crazy. He was like, we gave civil rights to black people so they could be free from slavery. So I don't know why we wouldn't do the same for newborn babies. And
They're
I was
so
like,
out of pocket. It was literally like everything, dog.
I was like, Doug, you're out of your mind. Like, you're crazy.
No, and it's like, wow, just the religious groups on campus are fucking crazy. I was walking into like one of my chem labs the other day. I was rushing to get to class because I was already late, like I usually am. And I had my AirPods in, I was bumping, absolutely. And this dude approaches me, and at first I panicked because I thought it was one of those guys on TikTok. Like, oh, what are you listening to? And I was about to get caught lacking, you know what I mean? But no, he pesters me, tries to hand me a Bible, and I was like, dog, I just want to go to class.
Should have burned it right in front of him.
I just want to go to class.
Yeah, what would he have done?
Damn, it was like I just took it because I didn't know what else to do. I could barely hear him.
Yeah.
God.
Those people be crazy on college campuses.
So fucking
We're
annoying.
the ones indoctrinating the youth, though.
So true.
Yeah, we're the ones indoctrinating.
They're just combating the liberal indoctrination from my social inequality class.
So true.
Where I learned that maybe redline was a problem. Maybe redlining was an issue.
Okay, but have you considered black people got civil rights?
Have you considered that redlining was outlawed, and there are absolutely no means that they continue to do it today? Hyper-segregation in cities is not a thing. Highways don't physically separate poor areas from rich areas.
People don't move into their houses for decades or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those policies don't stand for a long time. Infrastructure historically renovated every year in this country. Nothing ever changes. Or nothing is ever just, left to rot or anything.
The housing market, fantastic.
Great market.
Absolutely fantastic.
Redlining had no historical effects. Any kind of oppression doesn't have historical effects. As soon as it's done, it's gone.
Facts.
The mixture's mixed. It's over.
Oh, God,
you don't even have to shake it anymore. And then the last point, number 4.
Okay.
This has been a long-winded section. Number 4, if you want to reduce abortion rates, lift people out of poverty. Because the majority of abortions happen for low-income women because it takes a lot of money to financially support a child. And if people are financially stable and they do accidentally get pregnant, they're much more likely to go through with that pregnancy because they can support having that kid.
Exactly.
And if you can't support having that kid, I mean, what option do you have? Because it's the same reason that we say that right-wingers are just pro-birth. Because they don't care about what happens after that kid comes out. And they also don't give a fuck about the mother if she can't afford to support the kid.
And it's also, guys, newsflash, women aren't just going and getting pregnant to get abortions.
Yeah.
Getting an abortion is not a fun fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some women that really don't mind it, but there's a lot of them that don't like doing it, but they have to because they realize I don't have enough money to support this.
I'm sure for a lot of people it's a traumatizing experience to have to go do that.
That's what being pro-choice is. I wouldn't want to do this thing, but I support your right to do it. I recognize why you would need to do it or have to do it.
Also, probably the worst argument for you hear arguments all the time about people if you don't want to have to get an abortion, then don't have sex. That's always the argument. Or it's if we're placing abortion restrictions on women, then it shouldn't matter if you don't accidentally get pregnant. And it's that is the most small brain, never been outside, never seen a woman argument I've ever heard in my life. First of all, why should the government have a say in what you do with your sex life? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, humans are built to have sex. Get over it. You're probably 1,000 years old, never seen a woman, never touched grass in your fucking life. You have no idea what you're talking about. How are you going to say, instead of doing any of the things we listed, we should just tell people don't have sex?
Yeah, guys, just don't fuck. Don't fuck until married.
What? Yeah. You're dumb. You're dumb. You don't understand anything about the world or how humans function or how society is organized. You are stupid.
You are dumb. Yeah. Unequivocally.
Yeah, you can quote me on that.
You can quote me on that. You can honestly quote me on all this. I said it.
Honestly,
I said
it's on the record now. Anyways, just to sum up the situation.
Exactly.
There's been a lot of abortion bills that have come out over the last year. There's likely going to be more. I don't know what the Supreme Court has in mind for abortion, but I can only imagine Roe v. Wade's going to get fucked up.
Yeah. To sum it up, if you're one of our female listeners, stay away from Arkansas, Idaho, Texas, Missouri, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and then all the other states that we've listed.
I mean, if I had to speculate, I don't think the Supreme Court's going to say abortion's illegal.
Yeah.
But they probably will kick it back to the states.
I think they're going to say it's not a constitutional right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every state is just going to be able to do whatever they want, which means, living in those Republican states or states that could be held by Republicans is a really dangerous thing. Living in a swing state is a gamble at this point.
Yeah.
If we get a Republican majority, Republican governor, it's a gamble if you're going to have your rights to bodily autonomy. And then also, this fundamentally, this question has to do with, do you want the state, the government, to be able to control your body? I don't care about your philosophical arguments for personhood. I don't care if you think it's morally right or morally wrong. It is about if you think the state should have the power to regulate what people do with their body. The answer always has to be no. Always.
Precisely.
Always has to be no. And don't come to me with mask mandate, vaccine arguments. I don't
care. My body, my choice. My body, my choice.
If it only has to do with you and the decisions you make with your body, I do not give a fuck what you do.
Yeah.
But if you're going to impact public health, you got to get a vaccine.
Something else. Maybe those two things are disanalogous.
Yeah. Maybe they're literally not the same thing.
But you kind of have to have about 2 wrinkles in your brain to realize that.
Maybe abortions aren't contagious. You ever think about that?
Maybe a virus is and abortions aren't.
Maybe these aren't literally the same things.
Huge big wrinkle brain take right there.
Anyway, I think that sums it up on the anti-abortion laws.
Yeah.
Time to get into an even more depressing section.
Exactly. Trigger warning, police brutality, and gun violence.
Yeah. So if you are susceptible to those things, just keep that in mind as we go through this section. Yeah. But first, we're going to start off talking about what happened in New York City last week. So last Wednesday, there was breaking news of a mass shooting happening in New York City. It was a Brooklyn subway station specifically. The shooting left more than 20 people injured and led to a 24-hour manhunt across the city for this person. There's lots of information that's still not definitive about this story, so we'll only talk about what specifically we could find in regards to this. And what we do know The perpetrator was a man named Frank James, 62 years old. And he was arrested 24 hours later after he did the shooting at a McDonald's at Manhattan's East Village. Yeah. And funny enough, they didn't find him.
He turned himself
in. He called the police, and they came and found him.
He said, guys, I'm going to be at this McDonald's. Come pick me up. Mom, come pick me up.
Yes. And what exactly happened on the subway was that Frank James, he came onto the subway train, put a gas mask on, threw 2 gas canisters out, so it was like smoke bombs or whatever, and then he opened fire on a crowd with a semi-automatic handgun. He shot 33 bullets total. He sent 19 people to the hospital, and there were some other people that were wounded as well. Thankfully, nobody died. That is the good news out of all of this. But there were lots and lots of people who were injured, and we're talking about this today. Not because, we're a local news station, we cover this stuff. That's not what we do. But we, of course, want to make a political point about the police.
Naturally, the police fucking suck, and they are awful.
Yeah, so the New York City Police Department gets $10 billion every year. $10 billion. I know you think the police have been defunded. They certainly have not in
Absolutely
New York.
not.
If they haven't been defunded in New York, I don't know where they would be defunded at. So they get $10 billion every year to operate. Cops are on literally every corner in the city.
Yeah.
They still couldn't catch this guy on their own. Like, what is the point of having cops sitting at every point in the subway station, tackling people and beating the shit out of them if they try to get on the subway for free?
Oh, yeah.
But they can't catch a guy who literally opened fires with smoke bombs and a gas mask. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, they're just wasting time and taxpayer money. What are New Yorkers paying $10 billion every year for if it's not for the police to actually protect them?
No, dude.
Or to actually catch this guy.
It's fucking insane. And it's just about the broader point that police don't ever really stop crimes.
Yeah.
They only react to crimes after that, and they barely even ever solve crimes.
Yeah, and I saw news reports of after this started to unfold and people were bleeding and people were wounded, it was people on the subway cars that were helping each other. And police were still not catching this guy.
I remember I heard somebody went on and asked if there was a doctor on the train, and that guy had to get out and help everybody else.
Like, I understand New York City, really big city, second biggest in the United States. It's difficult to account for everything. It's a hectic situation. It's all unfolding quickly. But why are they paying $10 billion if the outcome is going to be the same if they were paying half that?
Yeah.
Like, there was no difference. And again, the cops didn't catch this guy. He turned himself in at a fucking McDonald's. Like,
after a day.
What is
a
the
whole
point?
Day of fucking manhunt.
What is the point of having a citywide manhunt, $10 billion police force, cameras on every corner of the city if they can't catch one fucking dude?
Literally an army of cops.
Yeah.
Literally an army of cops. One of the world's biggest.
And that's what I was just about to get into is like, let's talk about the New York City Police Department. So among other countries, NYPD has the 6th largest vehicle fleet compared to other militaries.
Damn.
Now, albeit a lot of their vehicles are just police cruisers, right? I mean, they don't have like tanks necessarily. I'm sure they have some.
They want them though.
They certainly want them. They get hand-me-downs from the military all the time. But they have the 6th largest vehicle fleet compared to other militaries in the world.
God.
NYPD has a navy larger than half of the militaries in the world.
They have a navy?
They have a navy. Yeah. They have a navy larger than half of the militaries in the fucking world.
Wow, the NYPD could be an invading force. They could be an occupying force.
Well, that's funny you say that because NYPD has a counterterrorism branch that has operatives stationed in parts of Canada and in Europe.
What?
Yeah.
You love in like cop shows and shit. You always hear about jurisdiction. Oh, you don't have jurisdiction here. This is my case. What fucking jurisdiction do they have in Canada and Europe?
They're working with Interpol, I guess.
Oh my god, the NYPD.
And then among all of the countries in the world, they are ranked 36th in defense spending, which is on par with North Korea. And if they were in NATO, they would be the 11th largest military power.
What?
Yeah. Right behind Turkey. One step, like $2 billion, $3 billion behind Turkey. So the New York City Police Department could literally just be running coups in Latin America and no one would know.
No, that's insane. And you know that Eric Adams is going to take this as an opportunity to give more funding to cops.
Oh, yeah.
Because if there's anything that Eric Adams loves to do most, he loves to kick, he'll actually use this to hire more cops for the subway so he can kick homeless people out of the subway.
Yeah.
Just like he's been doing for the past month.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like you got so many police officers that their whole job is to just make life harder for homeless people. Like, that's it. They are just like state-sanctioned eviction officers. Like, that's all they do is just kick people out of where they're living. If they don't have enough to live in a house or an apartment or whatever, because housing is super expensive everywhere in the country right now, then they're just going to kick you out of the subway station. But if someone comes in with a gun, they're just free to go.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
They're free to go. No, like, cops aren't going to stop them. Yet taxpayers are spending $10 billion every year. Like half of that could go towards like anti-homelessness policies. That could house the homeless, so that maybe we wouldn't have to hire as many cops to kick them out of subway stations.
Eric Adams has like only taken money out of social services to give it to stupid bullshit. Like, there was an example, we didn't talk about it on the pod, but I think it happened about 3 weeks ago. He defunded they wanted to implement this social program that was literally like statistically proven to help so many people.
Yeah.
But it would cost $800 million. And he said, actually, we can't do that. But then a couple of days later, they announced that they were going to be investing $800 million into a fucking stadium.
Maybe Andrew Yang should have won the mayoral
race. Honestly, yeah, I mean, probably at this point.
I mean, like so many people, everyone was happy to get rid of de Blasio, right?
Yeah.
De Blasio was pretty awful. I mean, historically, New York mayors have been pretty awful. But Eric Adams, everyone was like, give him a shot. He's this new guy. He was in the police force, but he was always anti-corruption, always pushing back against police brutality. And there's still $10 billion every year.
He's governed.
Like, what has changed? What has changed?
Governed as the most peak neoliberal.
Yeah.
He's a fucking cop.
Yeah.
Like, all he's done is defund programs to put him into other just bullshit.
Yeah.
He's gonna fund the police more after this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, let us not forget when there was that COVID spike that was happening in New York, and he said, we're not doing any lockdowns because my cooks are not smart enough to work in the office or from home.
Oh my God,
so,
yeah.
let's not forget that this dude is just fucking terrible. New York needs better. I think they deserve better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think they deserve better. But I mean, I guess to end this part of the rant about gun violence off, we've been saying, people on the left have been saying it for, I mean, I don't know, years now. I mean, like centuries now. I don't know, but some kind of common sense gun reform is still needed in this country, and it still hasn't happened. And I don't think like any amount of gun violence, school shootings, or anything similar is ever going to bring it about. If it wasn't like school shootings that have happened, like, I don't know, annually over the last few decades, then I don't know what's going to bring about gun reform. Like, nothing is going to be able to convince these people that are in the pocket of the NRA to ever invest their time into some kind of gun reform. Fundamentally, they won't.
If we couldn't get red flag laws to pass after the Parkland shooting, where it was proven that this guy had been flagged, a gun never should have been sold to this fucking kid, the shooting never would have happened, I don't think they're ever going to get passed.
Yeah.
Police unions in Texas routinely rail against most of their expansions to gun rights because they recognize that it is directly putting their officers' lives on the line. Yet the Republicans continue, like the Republican base that fucks with these laws continue to be out here like, yeah, it's my right, while supporting the police. Like, it is a stance that they can't reconcile within their own ideology yet again. Like, we haven't found a million of those. Like, they don't care. They just care about the political points.
They said, I'm going to just hold these opposing ideas in my mind, and I'm not going to be convinced otherwise.
Because, like, me and Jerry, we're both pro-gun, but common sense reform absolutely needs to happen. I personally don't think that open carry laws are a good fucking thing. I think it only ever escalates situations to deadly force whenever a minor altercation happens. We saw it with fucking, oh my God, the shooting that happened, no-knock warrant, not
Breonna
no-knock
Taylor?
Warrant, not Breonna Taylor, the raid. They busted down the door. The guy grabbed his gun because the cops barely announced
That was also
themselves.
in Minneapolis, wasn't it? Was it Amir Locke?
Yes, it was Amir Locke.
Amir Locke.
It was with the Amir Locke.
Yeah, and he was dead within 9 seconds.
That proves just that cops cannot exist with open carry laws and not end up killing civilians, because Amir Locke did everything right within his constitutional rights, and conservatives still fucking railed on him for being black.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They were like, well, he had the gun. He was pulling it out. Like, he was asleep at, what was it, like 6 a.m.?
Yeah, he was pulling the gun on an officer.
They weren't even looking for him.
Yeah, dog, if I was sleeping with a gun next to me and somebody busted my door down and started running at me, you bet I'm pulling it out.
Exactly.
And that's like within my rights. That's why it's so hard to reconcile these things.
Well, of course, it's gun rights until black person.
Gun rights until black person.
Which isn't really even an exaggeration. Like, I know I'm making it in like a comedic sense, but it's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Like, conservatives support gun rights until the Black Panther Party pulls out guns and marches on the California Capitol. And then they ban guns in California.
And then Ronald Reagan bans open carrying in any public building, any government building.
Ronald Reagan, like the demon of this last century, bans guns.
No, it's just like driving while black, walking while black. It's just like all of those fucking things.
Yeah. And you know, the common mantra is always that, well, guns don't kill people. People kill people. And it's like, yeah, I fucking know that, you idiot.
Yeah, dumb shit. Like, that's why we should put restrictions on people from buying guns.
We're not arresting guns. Like, it's not as if guns are animating themselves, walking around and doing crimes or killing other people or doing school shootings. Like, no, yeah, like we know, but they're pretty efficient at getting the job done. I saw this. I think it was a TikTok I saw the other day about this situation specifically, and it was like, you know, if you were put in front of a crowd of, say, 50 people and your objective was to kill as many of them as possible, it's going to be a lot more difficult if you have a fucking spoon in your hand.
Yeah.
Or if you have a knife in your hand. It's going to be a lot easier if you have a semi-automatic handgun in your hand. Because they're designed to kill people. And for those that are always going to be like Second Amendment, the founding fathers didn't know that you would have AR-15s right now.
Yeah.
They didn't know that you could literally buy any gun on the market and basically have no background check and be able to get your hands on literally anything, military grade weapons. They didn't know that. There's no way that they could have.
But guys, tyrannical government.
Yeah, tyrannical government.
But guys, tyrannical government.
But guys, tyrannical government, except women should literally die.
States' rights, except when Florida wants to have a Cold War with Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have a bit on the LAPD? Okay.
I do have a bit. So following this and moving to the other side of the country, let's talk about the absolute piece of human trash that is the LA County Sheriff. So some background. Right now, the LAPD, Long Beach Police Department, and the LA Sheriff's Office all patrol like their own section of the metro, like the LA and California's like subway station, right? So this opportunistic piece of shit, he was asked like directly by a reporter if this is in response to what happened in the subway in New York, and he said yes. He said that he is going to pull all 300 deputies from their metro patrol if the Metro like Council doesn't relinquish full control of like the Metro's policing operations to the Sheriff's Department.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Just because he wants to seize more power.
Yeah.
He literally said, I am pulling all protection, like, while saying that police, obviously they're not there to fucking protect you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's literally just doing this because he wants to, and these are his words, he wants to just start arresting people for fair hopping and spitting.
Oh my God, dog.
He said if the Metro
spitting?
He said if the Metro like officers aren't gonna go after people for violating Metro policies like fair hopping, spitting, and like pissing, then we're gonna go do it. And if you don't let us do it, then we are taking all of our officers out of the Metro.
Bro, the Metro should be fucking free anyway.
No, yeah, literally. That's
paid
fucking
for by
stupid.
tax dollars, but whatever.
Fair hopping is an objectively good thing.
It's actually the only ethical way to ride the Metro.
Exactly.
You can quote me on that.
No, but it's just fucking stupid. And he's literally just taking an opportunity here to seize power.
Yeah.
It's insane. If you don't think these motherfuckers are tyrannical, and this guy specifically, the LA sheriff, he's in the news all the time for being awful. He's constantly talking shit about just black people. I'll put it how it is, under the guise of talking about BLM. He said, don't come to California or else you're going to get fucking robbed a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, is back when shoplifting was the big right-wing talking point for like a few days or like a week or two or whatever. I remember this guy specifically saying, if you come to LA, we cannot protect you.
Yeah,
He's like, if you come to LA, you're going to die.
God
like,
damn,
it's just absolute fear-mongering to just get more money from taxpayers. That's all it is.
It's awful. And it's like, this guy's in a position of power? In one of like the worst organizations to exist, the LAPD, LA Sheriff's Office. They are notoriously awful police departments. And this is the guy that runs it?
Democratic run cities, brother.
And he can just do, but like what baffles me is the fact that he can just do this.
Yeah.
He can just say, yes, I'm pulling all protection from all these things. Not that the cops protect, you know what I mean? They're kind of just fucking there.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, he needs to keep up because he also said, well, right now my cops are just twiddling their thumbs because they can't go beat the shit out of people for spitting on the subway.
And of course, he's doing this in a time when people are going to be afraid of subway crimes.
Exactly.
Because of what just happened in New York. Like, it's going to have a chilling, or not a chilling effect, but just like it's just going to scare people. It's going to put them in a weird mindset.
Republicans love fear.
Yeah.
They absolutely love fear.
Yeah.
And this guy's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
God.
It's those Democratic-run cities, brother.
Exactly. If we can't be the sole organization that beats the shit out of people for hopping fares, and we're not doing it at all.
No, that's the thing is, like, the Republican response to all of this would literally just be like, well, it's Democrat-run cities. Of course this is happening. But the people in positions of power, they literally would support them.
Yeah.
Like, they're supporting the police doing this kind of stuff. Like, they always support the police. Yeah. Anything that they do, they're always just eating the whole entire boot.
And again, why can he fucking do this?
Yeah.
Isn't this just a gross abuse of power?
Small state, though.
Yeah, you know,
small
LA,
government.
Small county.
No, I love small government, you know what I mean?
True.
I just love small government.
Government can do whatever they want as long as they're small.
Exactly.
Like, if it's on the county level, they can get away with whatever, which surprisingly isn't a statement that's not accurate with what we see in reality. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know I'm saying that satirically, but it's kind of wild what happens at the local level.
Our jokes do be based in reality, though.
Exactly.
Anyway, moving on to our last story today.
Yeah.
Which is pretty close to us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan, it was reported that there was another police killing of an unarmed black man. So I'll go through the specifics real quick, then we can get into why this is so terrible. Mm-hmm. So on April 4th, Patrick Lyoya was pulled over around 8 a.m. for faulty plates. That's all it was. His plates were not matching the car that he was driving.
Routine traffic stop.
Yeah, routine traffic stop. He gets out of his car and he starts arguing with the officer about something, or just it started off with them just like talking. He was confused, and then it turned into an argument.
Yeah, he got out of his car, started like walking towards the officer or something. The officer's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And then he like turned around and started walking. Yeah.
So Patrick Lyoya, he starts to like walk away, run away, get away from the officer. Then it gets into like some kind of like scuffle or like wrestling match almost. It wasn't like a fight. They weren't throwing hands or anything. It was more of just like they were just like wrestling with each other.
Important to note, I'm pretty sure English isn't Patrick's first language.
Yeah, he's an immigrant from the Congo.
Yeah.
Yeah, his family had immigrated from the Congo. I don't know how long ago, but they're not native born to the United States.
Exactly.
And then at one point, the officer takes out his taser. Patrick Lyoya tries to grab it, presumably to like keep himself from getting tased.
Yeah, the officer took his taser, shot it, missed twice.
Yes, missed twice. And of course, Patrick is grabbing at the taser.
Because nobody wants to get tased.
Right, exactly. He's trying to get it away from himself or just take it from the officer, whatever. And then this causes the officer to wrestle him to the ground. He's shouting at him, telling him to stop, and eventually the officer pulls out his gun and shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah, no, literally, the officer at this point, there's a video if you want to go watch it. I don't really know why you would, because you don't really need context. If you are one of the people that, I need to see the full context, fuck you, get the boot out of your mouth.
Yeah, literally.
The cop is on top of Patrick. He's pretty much got him securely on the ground, and he says, drop the taser, drop the taser. You can't really see what's going on. He takes out his gun, puts it to his head, and just fucking shoots him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an execution.
No, he literally, it's like he just wanted to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
So many other things that could have been done.
And then naturally, protests erupted in Grand Rapids as soon as the news broke, which prompted the police department to release the footage that we were just talking about, that we referenced. And from what I can see, the footage from what I saw on the news looked like it just showed the struggle and not like the actual shooting. Yeah. Which is probably for the better, but like you know what it led to at the very end. The shooting again happened April 4th. The video was released April 14th. And the officer that did it, his name has not been released, so nobody knows who he is.
I think he's on paid leave.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on paid leave. And then after the protests, or I guess during the protests, or as soon as the police knew that protests were going to be happening, the Grand Rapids Police Department put up concrete and fenced barricades outside of headquarters. Wow. Like right outside of headquarters to keep people from coming in, even though the protests were entirely peaceful. Mm-hmm. And I think they were even going as recent as like last night. They were still happening.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know classes at Grand Valley State University, which is a college in Grand Rapids, were canceled. Like a lot of classes in downtown were canceled.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, protests have been raging there for a while, which makes sense because this is literally an execution.
Yeah, no, actually. And it's like, I just wanted to make a point of, some people are like, he's running from the cop, right?
Yeah.
If he is, that doesn't warrant an execution.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like typical police procedure in that instance is to chase or just let them run. You don't kill them.
I was going to say, I honestly don't even think that a cop should be able to fucking chase at this point, because it's only led to bad fucking things. You know what I mean? Like, okay, somebody's running away from a routine traffic stop.
Yes.
Like, dog, there's a passenger that was in the car. He's the one that recorded a lot of the video. You can stay with the car. You can stay with the passenger. Eventually, he's going to have to come back if you want to pursue this that fucking badly. But this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous that this ended in that. And I wanted to talk about during a press conference, one of the officials at the Grand Rapids like police department, like the sheriff or whatever the fuck. I don't know how cop ranks work. He made a statement and he was talking about how, well, an officer is justified in using deadly force when they fear that their life is in danger or that they will suffer great bodily harm.
Yeah.
If you think that being tased is great bodily harm, then maybe you shouldn't just be able to deploy your taser all willy fucking nilly like we see all the time. Maybe the cop in New York who deployed his taser against a 6-year-old little girl should have faced greater consequences if a taser is such a fucking dangerous weapon. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pretty sure the taser wasn't loaded because it was one that you have to shoot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know how fucking tasers work. Obviously, like, I'm not an expert.
It's like, I mean, even if Patrick Lyoya had grabbed the taser, aimed it at the officer, even if he had fired the taser at the officer, that doesn't warrant a fucking execution.
Yeah.
It's not a lethal weapon. It is doing pain to somebody. He would be charged with a crime for assaulting an officer. Yeah. It doesn't mean you deserve to fucking die.
Yeah, that means, okay, your taser, let me call backup. Yeah. Let me not just fucking kill this guy.
Like, what is the point of having a judicial system where you can be charged with crimes such as assaulting an officer, running away from an officer, disrupting, I don't know, disorderly conduct, whatever? What is the point of having those laws on the books if cops are just going to extrajudicially murder people?
And let's not talk about how it's only natural to struggle against somebody when they are trying to pin you to the fucking ground and tase you. What do you expect? What do you expect is going to happen when you're trying to wrestle somebody to the ground?
And I haven't really heard any conservatives talk about this topic so much, but I mean, their response is always like, "Well, just comply, just comply, just comply. You should never run away." And it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I or anyone personally disagrees with how somebody conducts themselves with the police. There's very little you can do that will warrant you to just fucking be murdered. Like he was not threatening the cop's life in any way.
No, not at all.
He was just trying to get away from him. You don't need to murder this man.
Fucking stupid.
It is absolutely, it's insane that in 2022, year of our Lord, people are still being killed during routine traffic stops. That routine traffic stops are a death sentence for some people. Like, come on, like, we live in a dystopia.
Like, you really, oh my God, bro. The cop, there's a criminal investigation that's going to be levied against him, whatever. He should just be fucking fired.
Yeah. No, he should be in jail.
He should definitely be fired immediately, and he should be in fucking jail. Yeah. Like, actually, fuck that guy. He literally executed someone extrajudicially in the middle of the fucking street.
Yeah, and I know the family said, like, you know, we left from the Congo, we escaped the Congo, and none of our family died, but then we came to the United States.
Yeah, they're refugees. They're literally refugees.
And that is when we lose a family member to, like, state-sanctioned death troopers, is when we come to the United States, the land of the free, supposedly. Free only if, I don't know, you're a white, wealthy, privileged person, apparently. But I know the family is pursuing, like, criminal charges or, like, suing the city for something.
They hired some, like, really big hotshot civil rights attorney. Was it the same dude that did the George Floyd case?
I'm not sure.
I know the
NAACP is involved, though.
It was the same guy who did, like, another, like, really big case. It's a really good attorney that they have. So that's good.
Yeah. And I'll note that since protests began in 2020 after George Floyd, and there's been, you know, millions and millions of people throughout the country calling for the police to be defunded. Police haven't been defunded, and the rate of police killings hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the data the last few years, it's still been about 1,000 each year. There's been 255 people killed by the police in 2022. Nothing's really changed.
Police budget's still going up.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting defunded.
Yeah. So just another lesson for you on why the police are pretty terrible. And we're not saying this individual cop is a fucking
he's a fucking demon.
Being.
Put him in jail.
But we're not saying you know if you see some officer, go fucking assault him.
Yeah.
We're not saying that we're not calling out any individual other than this dude who did a terrible thing. But the entire system of policing is a corrupt one.
The institution of the police is just bad. Yeah. It's bad.
That's why when we say ACAB, you know, all cops are bastards. We're not saying that any individual person is necessarily bad. We are saying that cops...
Except this guy in the LA County Sheriff.
Of course. We're saying that cops on the whole, policing on the whole, functions to uphold unjust laws while doing little to fight for reform, while also extrajudicially murdering people and justifying that murder and getting away with that murder.
And, you know, they just so happen to be a group with one of the largest domestic violence rates.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
So, not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Very not good. Police brutality, bad.
Police brutality, bad.
Stripping away a woman's right to choose, very bad.
terrible, in fact.
Elon Musk behind Twitter bad.
Yeah. Shout out, callback to the top of the episode.
That's right.
Elon Musk.
Right.
If we had to summarize the episode, that is exactly what I'd say. You can clip us.
Clip me on that.
You can clip us, and we can defend that.
I will stand by it.
Exactly. So I think that wraps us up for the episode.
Yeah.
We appreciate you all for listening. I promise next week we will come with some better news, some news that isn't as sad.
News, some more jokes maybe.
But after watching the news this week and just like throughout the week seeing what's happening, I was like, this pod's gonna be fucking rough.
Exactly. Exactly. So happy Easter if you're celebrating that one.
Yeah.
Happy
Easter. April showers bring May flowers.
True.
And before we go, got to give a shout out to our patrons.
Always do.
So thank you to Cricket Scrapbook Layouts, Nikki Nine Lives, Caden Kraut, Terrence Nicholson, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Talia Katz, 40% Spite, Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplinsky, Mattias T, John G, The B Plot, Clayton LaFour, Ash Fairblood, Mark Yeager, Sarah McRoberts, Derek Messina, Dylan B, Satan's Menstrual Cycle, The Mind Sculptors, and my mom. Thank you all for supporting the show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you.
Such a fantastic list of people.
Such a great list of people. If you want to be a part of that group, you know where to go. Patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Check out our Discord as well.
The Discord, it's really fun.
Actually, it's a good
time. Great community, honestly. Yeah. I'm pretty proud. I'm proud of everybody that's in there.
Yeah, the pod's been very successful this last year. We're coming up on a year in July, so that's pretty crazy.
Very thankful for everybody who's listening to us. I know, wrong thankful. Holiday again.
Yeah. But very thankful for you all, and thank you for listening to the episode.
Have a great one.